But as you begin to grasp the magnitude of these things, when you start talking about the tremendous earthworks of North America, of which only a small fraction still exist, the structures in the Amazon, which to me was the most incredible part of America before, was.
Thank you.
I kind of was getting the gist of it, but when I read that, I'm like, oh wow, because I had studied considerably in depth into the North American monumental earthworks, have visited most of the extant ones that still remain, very impressive, and then find out there's even a greater magnitude in South America, in the Amazon. That was mind-blowing to me.
And many of them unexplored.
Most of them unexplored, just identified on LiDAR. Very few have been explored.
And very little of the surface has been explored even by LiDAR.
Absolutely. It's a tiny fraction, 2% maybe, maybe less than that.
So when you look at the magnitude of these extraordinary building campaigns, that you got to go, why? There had to have been a motive. There's such an incongruity there between the idea of hunter-gatherers or even subsistence farmers undertaking projects of such enormous magnitude. To me, there's just a disparity there that there's a disconnect.
The so-called mound builder culture of North America has been hugely underestimated and not given the priority it deserves. That's why we devoted one episode of this series to the mound builder sites in North America, to Serpent Mound, to Poverty Point in Louisiana. Fantastic site. The thing that's not realized is that the vast majority of what stood here 600 years ago has been destroyed. Turned into farmland, plowed under, just wiped away in that process of making us a species with amnesia. It happened very much in North America, but the few sites that are left speak of enormous sophistication, and the horizon keeps on going back and back and back. So Poverty Point in Louisiana, fantastic site, very large scale, enormous pyramidal structure there. But it is, and dated to about 2,700 years ago, but it's directly connected to another site, Watson Break, which is just a mile to the south. It's lined up perfectly with Watson Break. The two sites are anchored to one another. Watson Break goes back 5,300 years ago. There are other sites that go back 8,000 years ago, and these are just the ones that have survived. I think that mound builder culture, as it's called in North America, goes back deep into the Ice Age as well. We're looking again at a mystery that we only have fragments of it to try and draw conclusions from. But those fragments speak to a majesty in the past of North America that has been largely ignored. And that part of the reason that it was ignored was that in the process of settling North America, it was felt useful to diminish the achievements of those whose lands were being taken over, to regard them as inferior in some way rather than superior. But when you look at the works of their hands, you see that superior people were definitely involved in North America, and that they have a very ancient culture which has been, sadly unrecognized.
And again, with the destruction caused by the Younger Dryas impact theory, most of it would be gone.
Well, absolutely. The effect of that cannot be overestimated. The scale of the flooding across North America in the 400 or 500 miles south of the ice cap. Roughly, the ice cap went down roughly to about Minnesota, something like that. Everything south of that was just torn to shreds by the Younger Dryas cataclysm. Absolutely wrecked. Anything that was there that would speak to our past was destroyed by nature, completely destroyed before other human beings came along and destroyed it further. And I just think it's important that we allow alternative voices to speak out, and that's one of the things that I really appreciate about your show, Joe, because you have a major platform, you reach a major audience, and what you're doing is you're allowing alternative voices to speak out. A lot of people misunderstand what you're doing, but what you're doing is actually allowing voices that had been suppressed to speak out, and thus provide the general public with more options, with more to think about than they had before.